Okay, good afternoon and good morning. It depends where you are joining. So this is Tony to you from Renewables in Africa, your Africa Clean Energy Champion. And today we're going to have a very good and interesting conversation, I'm hoping, like last Sunday. We're going to be talking about, so how do you convince businesses to take up solar? So have it happened to you already? I suspect yes, right? So you may be already operating the sector, or you want to jump into the sector and you start to think, so how can I get people to buy into the offer, right? And this is what we're going to be talking about. I'm just going to leave maybe a minute or two just to see if more people are joining. And before and after that, we can jump into the topic. But in the meantime, I just want to say, so if you have any question, please do pop it in the comment box. Last time we had fantastic questions, and I was able to hopefully respond to most of them. So if not all of them, right? And I'm also hoping that you had a fantastic week, and then you just relaxing on a Sunday. And sure, you were desperate to wait for me to kick up the conversation, right? So I can see. So I'm just gonna give you another 30 seconds, right? And after that, we can kickstart. I also wanted to say, so if you do have topic in general that you want me to cover, feel free to send it to me. And make sure that you regularly look at the our channel. So if you're not here, you've not subscribed yet, so please do subscribe to the to this channel, right? Leave your comment and also share with people that may be interested, because the whole idea for us is to, what we said, demystify the renewable energy sector for you, so that it becomes very clear, right? Whether you are an investor, whether you are a professional, or whether you are just, let's say, an enthusiast of renewables energy and you'd like to find out more. So we're looking at covering different topics. I don't know if you can see, for example, that on Friday, I believe, so we released an interview that I did with a gentleman called Prashan Reddy, talking about the circular economy, right? So it's good for you to look at that, and also for you to see who are the company operating into the sector from different angle and what are they thinking. So this is how you building and you forging your knowledge, right? Good. So I can see we're gonna be hitting about the 3-minute mark. So I have been online since. So it's probably a good time for us to kickstart the conversation and talk about business, right? So yes, so that's the question. So how do you convince business to take up solar? And it's a very important question. So why is it an important question? First of all, I would say, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're operating into the sector, so until you can solve this question, you're not going to be able to make money. You're not going to be able to sell your product. You're not going to be able to sell your services. So it's all about how do you convince them? Because yes, we're talking about solar. It is gaining more awareness, more popularity. But at the end of the day, it's all about turning business into potential customer and your client. So how do you do it? This is the question that we're going to be talking about today. An important question, because what I can guarantee to you, so this is something that I've also experienced myself, right? I'm experiencing on a daily basis with my company, Renewables in Africa. Because yes, we are a digital media platform raising awareness about renewables energy. Our vision is definitely to make sure that we can turn Africa into a fully electrified continent by 2040 and be recognized an Africa Clean Energy Champion. Yeah, so that's what we do. Our mission to bring back power to Africa. However, we are also an engineering company, and more specifically, we are developing projects. And at the moment, we have projects in various countries. I can mention some of them. So you have Kenya. So you have Mozambique, where we have a current project we're engaging in. And then we have also Cameroon and Nigeria. And before we had other countries as well. So when we go into different countries, so we engaging most of the time with businesses who wants to go solar. So this is why when I'm having this conversation with you today, This is something that we experience on a daily basis. And because some of you were asking me the question last time, I thought what I would do is to come back specifically to that, just to give you a couple of nuggets, right? To see how you can do that. You can use it for your own business and hopefully, make some money, right? So still some deal, right? So this is what we're going to be talking about, and we're experiencing that. And the advice that I would give, it's a summary of the 5 year that I have had working with my company, because obviously I've been in the sector for longer than that. Operating renewables in Africa has been, I know, 5 years already. I know, it flies. So and this is what I'm going to be sharing with you. Now, let's go down into the business. So how do you convince business to take up solar? First of all, if you're talking about convincing business to take up solar, one of the things that is very important for me, it's always to understand what is important for the business you're talking to, for any business you're talking to. So I don't know if you know, for example, if you do, please just pop into the comment box. According to you, what is important for business? What is business all about? I think it's about 2 or 3 things, right? So as far as I'm concerned, business, it's all about how can I reduce my cost and increase my margin, and definitely making sure that I also have a product, a service that is relevant to the people that I'm serving, that I'm calling either my customer or my clients, right? That's what it's all about. So no matter what service or product you bring into a business and you want them to become your client, your customer, this is how they're going to look at that. How is it helping me, essentially? So the first thing for me is really, really just to put yourself into their shoes. Make sure that you understand where they're coming from. Very, very important. So like I say, it's all about mitigating the cost and obviously improve their margin, right? So we can summarize it like that. So when it comes to energy cost, right? Usually those business or energy in general. So what they're looking to do, and by the way, when I'm talking about those businesses, that can apply to businesses in Africa, in the emerging market, also in Western countries, right? Because I have experience in various geos like that. So clearly, what I can say, so when you're talking about solar, a lot of them now are becoming interested. But clearly, there are 3 things that they're looking at. One, they want to be looking at, how can I minimize my energy costs? This is really what's going to make sense for them. At the end of the day, if you provide a solution that may be good, but does not respond to this point, I don't think you're going to go very far. They would appreciate you. Maybe if they want to be doing a charitable action, yes, they may look at that. But if it doesn't respond to that question, help them to reduce cost immediately, possibly, if not on the shorter to longer term. So if you're not doing that, you're not really helping them. The second thing I can see as well, they're looking as well from a stability perspective, especially in emerging markets, if you talk about Africa. Because it's not just about having power, because some of them have power, right? So they are connected to the grid. But this power is clearly unstable, right? It's very unstable. And the problem, so if you're an engineer like me, of having unstable power, this is not good for your equipment. If you have a huge variation of frequencies, that can destroy your equipment, right? So you can see already the kind of impact that this issue is having. So we're not just talking about the cost, but we're talking about that. So how do they fix it? Normally they using diesel generators, right? That's what they do. So clearly after the energy cost, so after the stability, there's a third point, more generally speaking. So even if you look at companies that are also in Europe, they want to make sure that whatever solution you're going to provide, this is meant to displace partly or partially the grid or whatever solution they are using. They want to make sure that this solution is robust. Yes, robust. Because let's imagine you're running a factory. Your factory is running, let's say, 24/7. Okay, so it's running, is building your product that you're selling, and that's how you generate revenue. Okay, you want to minimize your cost. Yes, But at the same time, you want to make sure that you're not going to disrupt at all your production. So that's why it is very important to make sure that whatever solution you bring in is also very, very robust. And I can tell you, solar had a bit of an issue a few years ago, because people could see that, yes, there is a potential here to reduce costs, right? And also to bring some sort of stability, but is it robust? Especially if you're talking about industry, heavy industries, like for example, mining, okay? So can it really provide, because even nowadays talking to people say, no, I don't think solar can do it. They just don't think about that. So they rather go for what we usually say, the devil you know than the one you don't know. So when you're bringing your solution, all I'm trying to say, you need to look at the problem as well from their perspective. So this is what they're saying. So how is it going to help me to reduce costs potentially? How is it help me to have stable power? Is it going to be a robust enough solution for me to see no disruption in my operations? So if your solutions speak to those points, then that's great. By the way, I can see there is a question here. Thank you very much for that. So let me come back to that when I finish my expose. Okay. So those are the 3 points that you want to address. Now, let me just go in reverse order. I talked about energy costs. I talked about stability. I talked about robustness. For the robustness, it's a little bit easier now to tackle that these days, for the simple reason that there are more and more businesses using solar. So there are actually examples now that we can point out to, that they can see, especially if you are already a player in the field and you've already delivered a project, right? It's always easier to say, okay, listen, this is maybe such and such customer that has installed solar for X amount of months, weeks or years. And as far as I'm concerned, they're operating very well. Okay, the solution most of the time will be a hybrid solution that you would have delivered a great type solar. So when you show example like that, it speaks 1,000 words, right? So they can say, okay, that's fine. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. So box ticked in terms of robustness. In terms of stability, same thing. If you're talking about some example, some studies that you've done or you managed to get hold of, and you have some example where, again, just from that from those examples, they can see that this company was having this issue with stability. They've not gone into solar, and as a result of that, they pretty much are experiencing no issue with power cuts anymore, because when there is a power outage, immediately the solution will take over. If it's during the day and a sunny day, you barely won't see that because you're not even connected to the grid. If it's at night and if you're running, let's say, a gen set that is connected to your solar plus grid solution, same thing, it takes over. Or if you have storage, right? If it's well built, okay, it solved the issue regarding the stability. Now you come to the number one, the big one, which is usually the one that sort of giving us lots of grief. How do you tackle the cost? Now, for the cost perspective, you can simply say, yeah, look at this guy, blah, 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 but you need to work a little bit harder, or should I say smarter, right? Because it's not just about working hard, but it's about working smart as well. For the cost, you want to be looking at from 2 perspectives. First of all, clearly as a business, if you're bringing me a solution, I'm only going to consider that at the end of the day if you allow me to pay less than what I'm paying right now. Because if I'm paying exactly the same, obviously I may not be interested, because why am I going to go through all the hassle of changing something where the solution I'm having right now is good enough? Okay, so clearly you want to look at that from that cost perspective. How is it minimizing the cost? The second thing is, as a business, what I'm thinking is, yes, I want to minimize those costs. I want to reduce those costs. And if possibly, I don't want to spend anything or not anything significant. So that means there is a capex, basically the cost of investment that come into play. That's the second part that you need to be handling. So what does that mean? It means that as a solution provider, if I want to convince you as a business that I'm responding to that cost element, and obviously what I will be offering you is a solution, right? Most of the time that come with a zero upfront investment, right? This is what we usually get people to pay attention to what you are saying, because you're telling them, listen, I'm giving you a solution, a solar solution that's going to be most likely cheaper than the grid that you're paying at the moment for the time you can use solar. At the same time, what I'm also saying for this for this solution, you won't have to pay me anything upfront. Basically, the investment is on me the developer. I'm taking that. Clearly, people will be very, very interested because they start thinking, okay, so that you're saying that if today I'm paying $12 per kilowatt hour, and you're gonna get me a solution where I can pay all of a sudden $10. So I'm making an investment of $2, which is about 20% less, right? And on top of that, you're saying that I'm not gonna have to spend anything to invest. Are you sure? If you can convince about that, definitely it makes them feel interested. And usually this kind of solution, so if you experience a little bit in the sector, you know that's either a PPA option or a leasing option. The PPA, you pay a dollar cents per the kilowatt hour that they are consuming, and the lease, they have to pay a certain amount every month for what they have consumed. That's two different between the two, just to go quickly, right? And obviously, one is slightly cheaper. It depends on the country, obviously, slightly cheaper than the other, which tends to be the lease option, because the way you structure the deal, it's slightly different. So that definitely will get them interested. So a second point that will get them interested after saying that you offer them a solution that will deliver a cheaper a cheaper energy for energy cost for them, meaning that if they're paying, let's say, X amount, you're paying like 15%, 20%, they're definitely interested. On top of that, they're not going to make any investment at all. Then they're definitely getting interested. If you obviously have the possibility to do that, most of the time you have the option to do that if you're working with some financing partners, or maybe you're an investor as well yourself, right? At the same time, I'm being a developer. The second thing that should also interest them, and you should definitely put that forward, is that this solution is providing a hedge against the utility for them. It means that, right? Because in pretty much every country, so we tend to have electricity tariff that increasing, right? Even coming from inflation, increasing year on year for a certain amount. And most of the time, we don't even know how much it's going to be increasing. So that means as a business, it becomes difficult for you to budget for that part, right? Go, is it going to be 5%, 7%, 10%, 2%? You don't know, right? And in some countries, especially lots of emerging markets, it tends to be a lot higher. Sometimes you can have an increase of double digits. So as a business, let's say, for example, I worked on my business as an accountant, right? And I've planned for next year, there's going to be a 2% increase on electricity tariff, and I'm ending up having something like 14%. That's a big difference. So it's gonna eat a lot on my margin. You already see, as a business, there's a risk there they want to tackle. So clearly, as a solar, you offer them as well, let's say, a hedge against the tariff. So that you're saying that, okay, with my solar solution, what I'm offering you is to pay X amount for, let's say, 15 to 20 years, if that's the duration you decide to go for, right? There may be a little escalation rate. Yeah, that's fine. But again, you give them something that is known, right? So that's good for them. So that means already they can budget. They can put that into their projection, and that's very good for them. So that's basically, after the cost, that's the second benefit that you want to put forward and push forward so that they understand it, right? So a third element you want to get them to understand clearly is going to give them very positive publicity, because nowadays everybody knows about going green, helping the environment, fighting climate change. And as a company, right, because company in pretty much all countries now have what we call corporate social responsibility. They need to show that they are good citizens, right? They're abiding by the law for sure. So how do they demonstrate that they're abiding by the law? So how do they demonstrate that? Definitely has a value in business, because if their competitor is good, I can tell you, for example, in some country where I'm working, so I've definitely come across a number of prospects that want to go solar. Yes, they want to reduce energy costs. Yes, they want to have a bit more stability, but it's also because their competitors are going green, so they can't be left behind. They know that it's becoming a competitive advantage to say that obviously you want to cut down, you want to contribute to the global mission of the world, or cutting down on emissions, right? So they want to make sure that they also, like I say, following the trend and doing their bit. So it becomes definitely an advantage. You also want to push that forward, right? And they're becoming more and more receptive. And like I said, pretty much in every country these days. Yeah. So I don't know if you've been following the news, but recently, I believe, was it Shell? I think Shell, yeah, they lost a case recently because they were sued. I think it was by an NGO, obviously a green NGO, because they were not taking drastic action to cut down their emission, right? So, and they were ordered by the court to implement it as soon as possible. And also in the US, I can't remember. It was also this week. I can't remember what company it is, where you had two directors that apparently been ejected because the company as well wasn't taking strong action to make sure that they tackle this issue. So clearly, it's an issue that is becoming more and more important. So we talked about reducing the cost by offering a PPA leasing model where they can get a lower tariff at zero investment upfront, which is great for them. We talked about, using solar solution as a hedge against utility. So that means, right? So you're gonna have a tariff that you know, so that you can make projection, and that's good for you, compared to a situation whereby you can't plan ahead, and which is a bit dangerous for the business. We talk about the positive publicity. Obviously, a fourth benefit could be for them to, it may not apply too much to emerging market, to, let's say, to Africa to some extent, unless these are big companies you are targeting, let's say multinational companies that are based in Africa that you are approaching. But all these big companies nowadays, they have a sustainability target that is part of their mandate that was clearly delivered by the shareholder, as I was telling you about, two directors being ejected. So basically, I'm saying this is an additional benefit that you can put forward to them. So you helping them to move toward this objective, so that it's helping them to show that, hey, with this project, this is also what we are looking to do. This is what we're looking to achieve, right? So clearly, that's another benefit that you want to put forward. And the last one, which obviously may not be that obvious, right, that I want to mention, is the fifth one. It's the fact that you're actually utilizing an asset that they're barely using. What am I saying? I'm saying if you're going to be doing a solar rooftop solution, right? Most of the time, these companies, there's nothing on the roof, and there's an asset, and it's not being used at all. So you allow them basically to make use of these assets and potentially earn money on these assets. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that, for example, it could possibly be that a company per se is not necessarily being interested by the solar solution, right? They may actually rent their roof for a neighboring company who wants solar and don't have enough place on their roof. It's possible. Or it could be like, I install a solution, but I'm actually producing a lot more than what I need. I can sell it to a company that is close to me, or I can even sell it back to the grid if you have net metering installed. So this is how you're making use of an asset, the roof that is there. And if you're not using that, as I say, you're not getting anything. So this could be a potential additional bonus on top of the fact that in some country as well, so you have carbon credit, green credit, right? Just because you're running a green project, and this is allowing you to tap into that, and like I say, to generate additional revenue for the company, and this is how you're contributing to increasing the revenue and minimizing the cost. So this is what I'm telling you. I'm saying that if you understand where the business is coming from, which is about increasing my margin, reducing my cost, yeah, I want to make sure that I have a solution that responds to the cost element, to the stability element, but also to the robustness element. Then I can start putting forward those benefits. I talk to a business. I would tell them, listen, right, with my solution, which is either a PPA or leasing option. So these are the case whereby the customer don't want to invest directly into the solution himself. He wants to find a solution. Then you say, hey, that's it. PPA or leasing options. I'm allowing you to have a solution that's cheaper than your grid. Most of the time, it's true. And on top of that, I'm also having a solution that's going to be a hedge against the utility tariff increase, because at the moment, the do nothing scenario, you can't even plan what you're going to get as an increase. And that's a problem for you. Yeah. So with a solar solution, you know what it's going to be. You can work it ahead and you can see what is good for you or not. And you can definitely make a much more robust plan for years going forward. It's also a positive publicity for you, because you're going to be seen favorably by customers, by the society, and it's good for your company image. And last but not the least, in case within your company you've had some sustainability targets that you wanted to achieve, again, I'm helping you to tap into that, to respond to that. Yeah, and that's good. So those are the kind of element that you can put forward. Oh, I forgot one: the fact that you have an asset you're not even using. I'm allowing you to unlock the potential that's linked to this asset. So if you cleverly put that forward, then it will start to make sense for businesses, right? And they then may be interested to move forward. I'm not saying that this is the miracle solution, but I'm saying that from experience, what I've seen, to what we've done, that's the kind of argument that we're putting forward to make sure that you can sway business that are interested towards definitely buying from you, buy the solution from you. Because let's be honest, unless they're able to do that, you won't be able to solve that equation, which is that transfer of wealth. And as an entrepreneur, I've always say, being able to respond to that equation where I can get customer to buy from me is probably the most difficult questions. Because until you can solve it, you're not going to make your business successful. So hopefully that was great for you. That's what I had to expose for today. Now I'm just going to go into questions. So I just wanted to say, guys, among you, so there may be some people may be interested in learning more about solar entrepreneurship, and either they're in the sector, they want to improve, or they're not in the sector at all, they want to learn. They don't want to go through, the many years of trial and tribulation like I've done, right? So what we've done is we've put together a workshop where we go a little bit more into detail on the different steps, starting pretty much from scratch. And then people even more interested, there is a master class, right, that they can also take a look at. So amongst you, if there are people that are interested, I definitely will encourage you to take a look at our workshop. The good thing that we did is because we were running this, and we're still running that, right, on a monthly basis. But some people will say, oh yeah, but I can't attend this because I'm in this country, in the other country, in this time zone. So what we've done now, we put up a system whereby you have the session running multiple times a day. So you simply have just to go and register for the slot that you are interested. So please do it. And definitely also make sure that you sign up to this channel, because the idea for us, as more people are interested, then we can have more live videos. We can have more topic. You can even suggest topic and I can talk about that. And then, yeah, definitely there is more thing that we want to do. Let me also be up and honest to you, very clear. So renewables in Africa, although we're always very happy to put forward a number of material that are accessible freely for you, we're not a charity. So that means if you want to go forward and have a lot more information, we're very happy to work with you, right? But clearly, as I say, this is going to be on a commercial basis, right? So clearly, would encourage you to reach out to us, but I also want to set the record straight so that you also know what to expect. But apart from that, like I say, there's lots of information available through our different social media platforms, to our website, right? We're running as well webinars. So at the end of the day, we're doing our bit to make sure that we are at least giving you some information for you to look at. Why are we doing it? Very simple. We want to create an army of solar developers. I'm looking at about 1,000 developers across the continent and even more across the world. And also because when I did this journey, right, I came into this sector because I was before in the automotive sector. So it wasn't that easy for me just to find my way in. I couldn't see where can I get the knowledge that I need. That's the reason we've decided to create a pathway for people that are really interested to come into that and obviously make their way into solar entrepreneurship in a faster way, not having to spend weeks, a month on it, even years on it, right? Instead, you're just dedicating a few hours, a few weeks, and you get what you need. Okay, that's good. Let me now take a couple of questions. So, and like I said, definitely make sure that you sign up to our workshop. The link is there. So, first question, that's for Frederick. Oh, by the way, I have Obina. Obina, just for you to know, if you're still connected, I'm hoping you are. So usually the first person to ask a question, so it generally wins 1 hour of free advice session. So with me, so we can go a little bit more into detail in what you have to ask me. And that's one of the perks that we're giving for people that are courageous enough to ask questions, right? And as a free advice, yeah. So definitely send us your detail. So you can send me your detail here so I can see, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Tony Chiu. So and then we can make sure that you get a price. So apart from that, let me now jump into the question. So what about issues with electricity distribution companies? You mean okay? If you're still connected, so if you can elaborate a little bit on that, are you talking about the fact that I guess if that's in Nigeria, you talked about discos, that's obviously not very reliable and also be quite expensive. I think at the end of the day, they're still part of the what we call the grid system, because in the grid you have the generation aspect, but you also have the transmission. Because I always say to people, and that's most of the time people forget about the transmission part, because unless you can take the power from the point where it is generated to the point where it is consumed, it's useless to actually build a power plant, whatever source you're using, right? The transmission distribution is key, right? So it's part of the grid system. So what about the issues? For me, the issue is the same. This is actually what either household or businesses are complaining about. They're complaining about that for them, because if you are a customer, all you see is power that is coming to you. You don't really see where the issue is coming from. Is it from the generation side? Is it from the transmission side? You don't see any of that. All you want is actually, how can I get power? That's why people are resorting to using diesel generators, isn't it? Right? Because it provides a quick and fixed solution, or by expensive, right? So what about these issues? So these issues, that's why I'm saying solar is part of the solution. It's not the only solution, but it's part of the solution. So what we were talking about here, it wasn't more on the upstream side where you're generating and transmitting. It's more from the demand side, from the customer. Now, if you have to jump into the actual issue why transmission is so low, right? And where there are a lot of losses in transmissions, that's a whole other ball game, right? Because infrastructure, it's very weak. I've always said, so if we think about pretty much any country in Africa, or most of the countries in Africa, would say, so the power system was built at the time of independence, or even before independence, for a country that was in population a lot smaller than what they are right now, right? And cities that were lot smaller than what it was right now. And at the time, it was more for the colonial rule. So nowadays, if you look at this country, 6 years fast forward, they have changed significantly, right? The population 2 times, 3 times more. But at the same time, if you look at the infrastructure, you have not seen the same progress that you've seen in terms of the population size. All of a sudden, with the same equipment or the same device, you ended up having to serve 2 or 3 times more people for economy that 2 or 3 times bigger. So you can see it's not easy to see. It's not to see why things won't work. And at the same time as well, even those installations, the ones that are there, they are not well maintained, right? There's not been enough investment to look after them. That's why they're crippling. Yeah. So I just wanted to respond to that very quickly, but obviously we can go more into detail about that. So Obina, hopefully that was your response to your question. So then I have Frederick Kimanti who say, how can we develop a solar PC system? I'm not sure I understand. Are you talking about a laptop working with solar? So I'm not sure. I mean, if it's that, if you're still connected, definitely make sure that you give some clarification. But in case it is, right? So whatever business you want to supply power from solar to, it's essentially quite simple, right? Because the solar will provide you, as I say, power. Now, that power needs to meet the needs of the customer. So whoever is a customer, there's two things you want to understand. You want to understand, number one, what are the needs of this customer? So how much energy that customer consume? That will be in kilowatt hour. Usually you want to know how much they consume during the month, how much they consume during the year. You want to find out about that, right? And even more than that, you want to understand what is the load profile, because understanding what they consume gives you an idea what size of the system you want to do. But also understanding what is the load profile will determine what is the capacity of the system. The capacity normally is in kilowatts, and the energy consumed is in kilowatt hour, right? So it's not exactly the same thing. Just for me to explain it is very, very quickly. It's almost like when you have a light bulb, right? You will see when you have, for example, a bulb, it's 10 watts, yeah? But you will see, if you look at the consumption, if you look at how much it will have been consumed, you have to multiply that by the duration of the usage, right? So those are that's that. And to make it even much more simpler for you guys, if you imagine tap water, right? So basically, the more you open the tap, the more powerful the flow is, right? That flow represents the power. That's a kilowatt. But now, if you look at how much water has come out over time to fill up, let's say, for example, a container, that amount of water that has been collected can be can be associated to the energy consumed, right? So that's what I wanted to say. So that means, so if I have a slow tap, right? So it's going to be slow to get the water out, but I simply have to let it run for a longer time to get maybe the exact same quantity than having a very powerful one, a very powerful tap, but that runs for a shorter duration. Hopefully that gives you an idea, right? So I always look to make it as simple as possible, because I know some people maybe are new to the sector, right, and need it to be a little bit dissected so that they understand. Yeah, hopefully that was good. So Oloya say I didn't run. So okay, I came late, no problem. So you came late, but that's okay. So what's your question? That's the most important thing. So because we were talking about because we've been running for almost 40 minutes now. We're going to be closing the conversation soon, but I'm still good to take a couple of questions if they are. So we were talking about, so how can we make business to adopt solar? Yeah. So just need to catch up. Okay. Alpha is saying, which kind of project? Oh, Arthur, I know you. I know the man. Which kind of project are we considering? We. Who is we? So is it we we as a developer, we as a EPC, or we the question I'm talking about? Okay, you want to talk about the size. Okay, so let's say what I've talked about today, to be honest, would apply to essentially all businesses. As I say, they're looking at the cost, they're looking at the stability, they're looking at the robustness of the solution. Right now, if you're talking about us as renewables in Africa, oh, you've actually specified. Good, thanks for that. The developer, industrial or domestic. As an example, in Senegal, there's an initiative for universal access to electricity, and they are considering small system. Okay, yeah. Thanks, Alpha, for confirming. So I was talking more today for about commercial industrial case, because solar home system, it's slightly different. It tends to be more residential market, right? So the approach is a little bit different. For commercial industrial, that's what I was talking about. So you can take it that system, let's say for a few hundred kilowatts all the way to tens of megawatts, right? So in this bracket, the approach would tend to be what I have described, in a sense that as a business, you want to increase your margin, reduce your costs, and whatever solution people bring in front of you to reduce your power challenges, you want that solution to bring down the cost. You want that solution to be stable so that you don't have an issue with your equipment, and you want that solution to be robust, meaning that you don't need to worry about, is it going to be running today, is it not going to be running. Yeah, so this is what I've been talking about. So yeah, so as a developer, this is the kind of project that we are considering. But I would say clearly, really, the approach would tend to be the same. So hopefully that I have responded to your question. So is that any other question, guys? By the way, thank you for your question. I very much appreciate that. As I'll say again, so people, for example, like Oloye Adeniran joining late, I was talking about, if you are wanting to join the sector, become a solar entrepreneur, solar developer, we have a workshop that we are running on a daily basis, multiple times. So I have the link there. Make sure that you subscribe, and the least, just make sure that you register, you sign up for YouTube, right? So after say I get in one of the classes, it's time that I jump in. I think it's time, After you've been sitting on the sideline for some time now. And I can tell you, my friend, this is the thing. Many people, I realize, in fact, they have all the skill they need. I promise you. But what they're missing maybe is a bit of a confidence. And I'm saying that because I was exactly the same. And I remember somebody was telling me, hey, Tony, stop just organizing events. Why don't you do that yourself? I was like, I'm not sure. So that's what I'm saying. I've gone through all those steps. Yeah. So that's why I understand how people can feel. And like I say, I've started from not being in the sector. I knew nothing about power, right? I'm first to say that. And on top of that as well, when I started my career, I wasn't thinking of being an entrepreneur. No, it sort of it came up to me. Okay, not just like that. But I'm just trying to say, I'm not one of these guys that said I've always dreamt to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't me. I just came to it. Obviously, I love it now. But yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do it. Right? So definitely, Alpha, it's time for you to jump in. You have everything you need. I promise you. Everything you need to understand it. You don't even need to be technical. You just need to know the basics. And that's what our workshop, our masterclass is all about. So how can I take somebody that knows nothing and turn him into an expert so that he has the knowledge to move forward and he can start working on his own project if he wants to, or if he wants to position himself in an organization where he's operating, at least start understanding what it's all about to be developing and working on a solar project, right? And when I say solar project, realistically, the knowledge that we're sharing can be associated to any clean energy project. It just so happened in the continent, solar is the one that dominates, right? and that's the one renewable source that is spread across all countries in the continent. And it is actually the only one, because if you're talking about wind, there's only so much region that have enough wind or water or biomass, so on and so forth, right? But solar, trust me, anywhere in Africa you go, there's enough sun. Okay, so one last quick question, guys, and then after that I will. By the way, thank you for joining, because I know it's Sunday, so you spent already 45 minutes with me, and I don't know where you are, but here the weather is beautiful, so you guys could have been outside, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go and walk with my sons, just to enjoy a bit of the sun. But I wanted to have this Domenico, conversation, catch up with you guys, yeah. So because I also enjoyed, I have to say. So if there is any last question, I'll take it. Otherwise, I will close it, and we will continue sometime next week. If you have topics, send that to me. More than happy to explore that, to organize conversation around that. And yeah, so thank you for the support. Thank you as well for people who's going to be meant to be our future partners, future customers. It's great. And if you're a business, you want to reach out to us, feel free to do so. Yeah. So my LinkedIn is the best place to reach out to me. Otherwise, so please, we want certain project. Okay. Oh, okay. I think let me just say as well. Let me respond to that, because I think I've had an email from you before. We are not a place where you come and or we come and give you project. Nah, I won't do that. I've already said that multiple times, and I'm going to be straight and upfront, honest with you. Nah, we are not a broker. You come and say, give us a project. Nah, we don't do that. I've done that sometime with a company. We don't do that anymore now. Yeah. So unfortunately, that's not what we do. So hopefully you now get the response once for good. Yeah. So we don't do that. If you want project, as I said, you got to get it for yourself. If you're one of our partner, we can potentially work together. If you really want to, sort of get us to do it, as I say, I'm not here just to say you're just gonna get everything for free now. Guys, forget about it. I'd rather be upfront and honest. So hopefully that's very clear for you. Okay, good. Any more questions? Okay. If not, that's okay, guys. I'm just gonna close the call now. So thank you for joining. Thank you for to be following us, right? Following our step. We're not saying everything we do is perfect. However, we are making sure that we keep on improving, we keep on engaging, and we keeping on passing on the message. Because I'm hoping lots of you are gonna come into the sector, and then we can get the industry to grow, not only for the African continent, but for the whole world, right? Because we clearly all have a mission to do. Okay, guys, thank you very much. And I had a fantastic time with you. And I will surely catch up with you again, definitely for sure, next week. Like I say, may the sun be with you. Get better.